Welcome to the Why Not Podcast, a motivational podcast where we discuss ideas behind innovation and change. I'm your host, Noah Cisneros, and I'm excited to have you here to meet some incredible people, discuss some life-changing ideas, and to have a fantastic time learning and growing together. Today on the Why Not Podcast, we welcome Luke Alley, teacher of marketing at BYU, Idaho, investor, entrepreneur, and one of the most quietly influential digital marketing minds of the last 15 years. From advising global brands on PPC, that's pay-per-click, and search engine optimization, SEO, to serving on the Bing Ads advisory board for nearly a decade, to launching his own family-centered company, Luke has lived every corner of marketing: agency, consulting, education, and entrepreneurship. I'm absolutely thrilled to have him on today's podcast. And to lay the foundation for today's conversation, I'm going to start with a quote from Socrates, the Stoic, where he says, "Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel." And Luke, today, to start off our conversation, I would really love to ask, what's a moment from your early career that fundamentally changed how you see yourself?
Yeah. First off, great being on here. Happy to do it. Awesome to see what you're doing. You're a stud. As far as that question, experience that fundamentally changed me goes back to when I was working at an agency. I was a student here at BYU, Idaho. I was working with Stu Draper and at an agency called Get Found First. And we had a client that offered something called a 24-hour seed bank. And it was basically just like a bunch of seeds in like a military grade, like box, like a think an ammo crate or something you can seal, put down into like a storage room, and it lasts forever, right? The idea being, if the apocalypse happens and grocery stores like no longer have food, you have this like emergency seed bank to like, to use to plant your own crops, to go back to like the 800s or something like that. And we started running their campaigns, and it did fantastic and just was like selling like bonkers. It was crazy how low the cost was of getting sales. And they were selling them for like, I don't know, it was a few $100s or something like that. And I remember talking to the guy, and we're like, "Hey, this is doing really well." I'm like, "How are you doing this? How are you operating it?" He's like, "I hardly do anything, actually." It's like, "I just bought this. I pay for like this part of a like a warehouse, and I just bought a bunch of these ammo crates, and I got these seeds here, and I pay a minimum wage worker, and they just do it all for me." And it was at that moment I was like, I could do that. It's like, here I am operating the marketing side. I was like, I could go find these boxes. I could find these seeds. I could probably find someone to do this work. And I realized at that moment that I just didn't believe in myself as much as I could or should, or that like these business people doing these amazing things, these companies doing like great things, really like it's not that hard. It's not that hard. And it really helped my confidence to say, hey, I can do that. I can be more than what I am. I can change my position more, specifically with business. I can do these things and like be successful at it. And really like planted that seed of confidence in me to be like, I can do more than where I'm at right now. And maybe it's how I was raised. My dad was military. My parents were pretty like medium income. Like we were fine. We were really well off. They taught me a lot, but I don't think it was ever instilled in me of like, you can do whatever you want. You can accomplish whatever you want. And so, yeah, it was just one of those moments where all of a sudden, like my confidence got this instant injection, and I'm like, I can do more. I can do more. And I think it changed a little bit of how I went about with business as I was working with clients, as I was like learning, as I was going back to school. Basically say, I can do these things. Like I have what it takes.
That's such a cool business idea. Like, it's like the Netherlands where they have the vault with all the seeds for like the apocalypse day, but for each individual family. That's really cool.
Well, that's exactly it. Someone probably took that idea and they said, "Oh, yeah. Oh, go ahead." Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, it was like it was just a moment. I wasn't even looking for it, but it did definitely taught something, and I think it maybe teaches where we were going with that of if a government can do it, why can't a person do it? And someone just productized that idea, So
That's awesome. I didn't realize you grew up in the military.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we moved around a bit. I think we were a little more stable than most military families. He was an instructor at the Air Force Academy. He taught civil engineering, got his degree from Ohio State, and so he was, I think, a more educated person within the military, which led to a little less moving. But no, he lived in Ohio, Colorado, California, Japan for a year. So yeah, worldwide, something like that. Now in Idaho, traveling in Idaho, very exotic.
You've built teams, you've scaled agencies, you worked at Avalanche Media as well. You've led strategy and you've taught students. I'd love to know, Luke, what personal values have guided you through each of those transitions? Because it's very different to be a marketer, an entrepreneur, and a teacher, and you've done all of it. So, what values have been consistent for you throughout all those different experiences?
Yeah, totally. Two come to mind. First is just caring about people, and the second is creating value before you ask, before you say, "Hey, give me this." Those are the top two. With the caring, for that it manifests itself in like so many different ways, and I feel like I'm not nearly to the level I want to be. It's hard for me, I think, to balance everything in my life and to show that care for each person that I'm involved with. It, starts with my family as a dad and as a father, um, then in my neighborhood, then with my extended family, with in my church, at school, like in my work pursuits. Every person I come in contact with, I want to care about them. I want to show them the care that they deserve as a person with what they're going through. They have their own life going on. They're dealing with their own challenges and doubts and everything that can you can think of. And I'm not as good as I want to be, but I want to show people I care. And I think that manifests itself through listening to them, being curious about them, asking about their day, not talking about yourself, talking about them, knowing their own personal situations. I'm trying to do this with, I have a new employee I'm working with, and I'm meeting her kids, and I have them written down on a post-it note because I'm like, that matters to her to be like, hey, Luke, who I don't work with her a lot. We maybe interface an hour or two a week, but I want to know her. I want her to know that I care about her and her family. And for her, her world is her kids. Right. And so it's just things like that, just trying to care really, really deeply and sincerely about them and their lives. And I try to do that again. I think I have a lot of work to do with it, but I feel like that's helped me. Now, second point is about just giving, creating value before you ask, before you take. That's been a guiding principle for me from the beginning of I want to provide value and I want to help and I want to contribute. And I don't want to wait until someone says, well, we'll give you a paycheck for that if you do it. And I'm like, there it is. I'm locked in. Um, I see it a lot actually. I feel like with Gen Z right now, which is like uh things like quiet quitting. Oh, there's another phrase I can't think of off the top of my head. Um, but it's basically like don't do the job that you're not paid for. And I disagree with that principle like heartily, even though I understand like the other side of it, but I'm more on the side, and I've done this always. I said I'm going to do as much as I can, give everything I can, and do it to just provide value. And I've tried to find reasons for that. Maybe it is caring about the people. When I was in the agency world, for example, I would look not at, hey, I have to do this because I'm forced to do it for my job, but rather I look at this as there's a person on the other side and their job matters and I affect their job. And so I go into work and I give more and I do more than the next person because I care about that person on the other side. And for me, that motivated me to continue giving that value, even if I was frustrated at my boss, I didn't get the raise I wanted, like wasn't feeling great that day. But what that's done for me is it's just opened door after door after door. And it's almost like I almost chose not to see those problems because I was too busy focused on, hey, I want to give value. I want to do this. So I didn't spend time getting mad at my boss or, you know, not having the raise or this and that, even if there were things there. And then like magically, I got along with my boss and magically I actually had great raises more than most people would and had opportunities present itself more than which I think more than what's average. So I think giving that's the principle. That's the second principle is giving that value before you ask. Give before you take, and that seemed to help me a lot. So those would be the two I'd mention: caring a lot, and then giving value before you ask.
It makes sense that those are your two values. You're a very caring guy and you provide a lot of value. I've really appreciated all the advice you've given to me personally over the years. I've heard in the business world the saying, like, don't take it personally. And that's almost a justification for not caring, which is somewhat in contradiction to what you've shared. So I'd love to know from your perspective and with those values, is business personal?
Is business personal? Oh, yeah, it's hard not to be. I don't know. I see business as like you're providing for your family, like you're giving of yourself. So it absolutely is personal. I don't know if this is exactly where you're going with this. I do hear people say, "Hey, we're a family here. Like this team, this company, we're a family." And I'm like, "No, you're not." It usually comes from the top. It's usually the leaders who don't want to have to replace you if you leave, like I used to maybe buy into that phrase. I don't buy into it anymore the more experience I've had. Maybe that's going along with that thought too. I think some people try to make it, if it fits their needs, they make it not personal. If it doesn't fit their needs, it is personal, you know? I don't know. I don't know if I'm like defining that well, but yeah, I do think it, as much as people want to say it's not personal, it is. It gets personal. And there needs to be balance with that. Personal side doesn't mean we're family, but it means like this really matters. These decisions really matter. And yeah, I don't know. If I heard I haven't heard someone say that, no, of don't take this personally. Right away, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this personally. Cause like, who even says that? So I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Digital marketing evolves faster than almost any profession. You've spent over a decade in the digital marketing space. How do you personally stay curious without getting swallowed up by the shiny object syndrome and the next shiny thing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. Probably some sort of ADD or undiagnosed ADHD like helps. Because I do like I like a shiny object at many times. I'm like, I'm gonna go out at it. Right now it's AI, right? But it's motivating in a sense too. So I don't know, maybe that helps a little bit. Really though, it probably comes down to two things for me. It comes down to my business and teaching. So with my business, right? Like I love applying things in my business where I know like I can see the impact. Hopefully I can make some money off this. And then I can show this to my students too. It's very motivating to like have all of that, of like all these reasons to stay on top of things and stay curious and understand new tools. And, you know, when it's late at night and I'm tired, still respond to Slack messages and work on these things. So having a business I actually care about, that I want to succeed, like if I wanted to succeed, the more I can understand what's happening in the industry and what's working and what's not, and what are the best tools and what strategies should we change. The more I understand that, the better my business will do. But then the more I apply that, the more I can share it with my students. Actually, a big reason I've stayed in business and continue to do things on the side and have those hustles is I want to show students real stuff that's happening right now. And when they come and say, "Hey, I heard email marketing doesn't work anymore," I can say, "Well, let me actually show you what I sent last week and what the results were." It speaks for itself. And I think that creates a better learning opportunity in the classroom. I'm more credible. Students believe it, right? They apply it. And it's very motivating for me to have this business to be able to like bring it into the classroom and show students what I'm doing, and see the light bulbs go on when we're talking about this stuff. So I say kind of the situation I've set up for myself forces me to stay curious and gives me a good vehicle to do it, to do all that stuff. And if you want to start a business, someone can take this, steal this, start a school where it's business owners. You have to own a business. You have to have at least, I don't know, $500,000 in revenue. And they're the teachers. That's the prerequisites. They're the teachers, right? That might be a model of like, hey, your teachers are doing it. They didn't study this. They didn't read books. They didn't get a PhD. They didn't learn from like strategies from 10 years ago. They're doing it. That could be a model, and an online school with business owners teaching. And there's a lot of business owners I've met who like, they want to do what I'm doing. They want to teach. They feel that like drive to, anyway, throwing it out there, steal it, give me credit later. You can just say, this is where I heard the idea. There's a lot of teachers here who are the same thing. They own businesses and they're applying the stuff, but it's not every teacher at BYU Idaho is like that. Not every university is like that too. So I do think there's some justified critiques of higher education. So there's a whole spectrum. You can find the whole spectrum.
So I got to ask, why did you leave the digital marketing agency world and go to BYU Idaho to start teaching? So I got to ask, why did you leave the digital marketing agency world to go to BYU Idaho to start teaching?
Yeah. No, probably the easiest way to summarize it was it felt like a higher calling, and something that had like been planted in me a long time ago was like, I was built for more than just making money for businesses, which I feel like I was pretty good at, but it wasn't fulfilling that much. I referred back to this earlier in the podcast that I like working at an agency to meet the people and work with them on their businesses. And like, I did it for those people, right? I wanted to help those people. That was a motivating factor for me. But I don't know, deep down, I was just like, there's something more. There's something more that I should be doing. I dabbled in the nonprofit world, didn't really do it for me, and just always felt this like drive. And I got my MBA kind of the same reason. I just felt like I needed to do it. Like there was a higher purpose for this. It's from God, like Him guiding me. And so I did it. Didn't really know. I had a few experiences or like, oh, that was cool. Maybe that was the reason. But then I'd have another one like, oh, maybe that was the reason. And I guest lectured in, this was 2015. I don't remember the month, but sometime in 2015 in the middle of my MBA program, I guest lectured at BYU's MBA program for a marketing class and talked about digital marketing and loved it. Had a great discussion. Like just, I felt like on fire. Like it was just good. And I was walking out with the teacher who had invited me. His name is Jack Hadley, and he turned to me and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "You did good. You were comfortable up there." He's like, "And you know, the MBA is the door into teaching college, right?" And it was Noah. It was like lightning through my body, and I was just like, I'd never thought about that. Not once had that come to mind, even though I was like involved in universities. But it was like lightning, and it was really God in that moment saying, "This is what you've been feeling. Now go get it." And it took 5 years from then to coming to BYU Idaho. I taught at BYU for a year in um, their communications program. Did some other stuff with schools. Kept in contact with the BYU Idaho teachers here, and then finally ended up here. But yeah, that was really the biggest reason. I just felt guided and felt like I needed more, and I do feel that. I feel like I have more purpose in my work. I like come home more energized of like, hey, I love what I do, and I got to have these experiences with these students that tend to appreciate what you do more than clients who are paying you money. I'll just say that. So I do like that. And I just wanted to take a pay decrease. No, that was the other reason. I really wanted to make less money. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like someone else should have this. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. You were ranked number 7 on Leadtel's top search engine marketer influencers. You've advised Google, Bing, SEMrush or SEMrush, depending on what kind of SEO expert you are. You served on the Bing Advertising Advisory Board. You've been in rooms where marketing innovation was discussed and strategized. And I'd love to know from your perspective what the difference is between a good marketer and a great marketer.
Good marketer and a great marketer. Yeah, it's a good question. I think the great marketers care more. They care more. They're willing to put in the work to get things done, to try new things, to experiment, to test, to push through like barriers, whether that's a barrier at work, with the people you're working with teams, with deadlines, with projects, communication, whatever it is. Like, but I think they care a lot, and they're willing to like put in the hours. I think great marketing isn't a secret. Like, there's not a dearth of information out there. We have every platform available to learn. People like share their secrets like they're nothing. Everyone wants to brand themselves. And so They share what they're doing. Like the information is out there if you choose to take it. Um, but you just got to choose to take it. You got to choose. Again, this goes back to what I mentioned about like creating the value rather than waiting for it. Like the great marketers go home and they listen to podcasts and they watch the Why Not show and they're like trying to teach themselves, but they don't say, "Hey, boss, I'm only going to listen to this if you pay me $20 per podcast because I'm going to be helping you and I deserve to be paid for this." Right? They don't say that. They just go do it. And as they're falling asleep, like rather than scrolling social media and just doom scrolling and not learning anything, they curate their feeds to have AI stuff on it, marketing stuff on it, digital marketing, whatever it is. Like they're constantly learning. And that's just different. Like I would say good marketers don't do that. They show up to the job, they do what they have to. Maybe they go to a conference, maybe they read an article or two, right? But it's pretty basic. But great marketers just they put the time in more. And I think it's because they care. I just had this happen. I went to an AI marketing conference last week, met a guy named Josh. Don't know his last name. I gotta find this. I gotta shout him out on this. I will find it in just a second. But one of my students, I mentioned him, and my student had some hustle and connected with him and did an informational interview with him like right away. And she asked him, she's like, "How did you learn all this? How are you doing this AI stuff?" He's doing the AI workflows, like he's in N8N and Weavy and all these AI tools, and he's like creating this amazing stuff. And apparently it's working. And she's like, "How'd you learn all this?" And he's like, "Just watch YouTube videos and I tried it." I was just like, "Do y'all see it? Like, this isn't some secret. You don't have to like be invited to, you don't have to pay $50 a month for some membership that like, people are putting out there that they say it's the best and this is the only place you can find the information." No, it's like, it's all out there. Like, you just have to search a little bit, find the right people, start like digging through it, try it, get your hands dirty, spend some time in the evening. Like, it's just not a secret. And you got to be hungry for it and go after it. So that's how I'd answer that.
It sounds like a big piece of this is attitude. Is that something you can teach? Like, can you inspire a student to care? Like, how do you teach attitude? How do you teach? How do you convey the need to care? How do you teach someone to care?
Noah, I wish I had an answer to that. I struggle mightily with that as a teacher of not focusing. My struggle is I think I focus on the students who care. And I'm like, "You care, let's talk. Like, I'm excited to talk with you. And like, let's go. Like, what are you doing? What are you working on?" Like, that's fun. That's energizing for me. And then I struggle a bit with the students who don't care, who show up and they haven't done the homework and they're not raising their hand. They're not trying anything. I'm just like mostly I just like look at them and judge them. Mostly I'm like, get started. Like, try to kick them in the butt and be like, "Go do something." But like, obviously that's not helping. But I do struggle with that of like, where does that inner drive and fire come from? Can someone learn that? Can you teach someone to be curious if they don't have that? And I wish I had a better answer at it. I don't know if I do. I think we get inspired by people. I think inspirational people can like plant that in us through experiences with them. But to keep it going and to like continue that on it's hard. It's a challenge. I'm just going to say I don't have a good answer for that of how you teach that with those who don't have it, but I need to go there. No, if go do find some like very motivational people, ask them that same question and send me the link to the podcast cuz I need to learn that. I need to help those who don't have it cuz I wish more did. I wish more did. I think I'm jaded a little bit from my work experience where I feel like I wanted to have an effect on people, but I don't know if I did. If I'm being honest, like I feel like people either came in and they were motivated and good and like they did their stuff and like, man, they kicked butt, or they came in and they didn't. And I like would try to talk to them and coach them and train them and be there for them and care about them and all these things, but didn't change them, you know? I wish maybe I'm having more of an impact than I know and like helping people and like helping them believe in themselves. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, I feel like people either had it or they didn't. And I don't know how much I affected that.
I'd love to know if you could go back in time as the teacher at BYU, Idaho. You walk into the classroom, you're getting ready to give your lecture, and there you see yourself, a young college student, young Luke Alley. What advice would the current you give to the younger you?
I'm struggling with it a little bit because like, I don't know, maybe it's the Marvel idea of like, you can like mess up a whole timeline if you go back and do the wrong thing or something, and then the whole thing like gets messed up. I'm probably overthinking this. Yeah, exactly. Something with the multiverse and like timelines and whatever. But I'm thinking I would tell myself, you're going to do just fine. You're going to do just fine. But also I'm like, I think there's something there to like the struggle that gets you to where you want to be. Like it's through the pain that the growth happens. And so I almost like don't want to tell myself that either because I want me to struggle. I want me to like feel the pain. I want the growth to happen through all of those things. And so, maybe it's just like, hey, keep driving, man. Keep driving. Maybe there's a little bit of like believe in yourself, of like don't doubt as much because you can do it. And I think that's something that everyone could hear. Maybe going back to our last question of like caring or not, or how do you motivate people? Maybe it's just an inner belief of like you can do it. Like you can do it despite you maybe thinking back to how you were raised, or you don't have as many opportunities as the next person, or you failed at this point. Maybe it's something with that of just believe that you can do it. And maybe that belief doesn't get rid of the drive, but it gets rid of the doubts. I do think doubts never helped me, but like just going and doing and like jumping off into the deep end many, many times and then swimming and growing from that helped me get to where I was. So maybe that's what it is. I think I that coalesced at the end there, Noah, of like just believe in yourself. Don't listen to the doubts, listen to the beliefs and go for it. I do think I could have accelerated my learning if I went for harder things earlier. I still think I went for a lot of hard things, but like sometimes it just took me a while to get there and I probably didn't do as much as I could have by, by doubting, by listening to those doubts. So maybe that's what it is. Believe, don't listen to the doubts. Don't listen to your fears.
Well, it sounds like younger you would really benefit from that advice, instilling that self-belief, overcoming self-doubt. I think part of what you shared that stuck with me so much is that you wouldn't prevent yourself from the challenges you knew you would go through. And you said that you wouldn't want to necessarily give yourself the advice that you would learn through hardship. I'd like to understand why. Like, why is struggle and going through that challenge and that hardship so valuable? Like, why would you not prevent some of that challenge?
I think that makes us who we are. I think it makes us stronger. You see the principle actually, I think throughout life a lot. You see it in like building muscle. Like I like going to the gym. I like the struggle. I like the pain because I know what's on the other side. I'm stronger and I feel better. I sleep better. I can like do more. I can be active. I can wrestle with my kids. Like, my back doesn't hurt at the end of the day. Right. So many different reasons, but it's like pain. You got to feel the pain. There's pain to it. You have to like stretch your muscle. You have to tear your muscles literally for like that growth to happen. You see it with like metal, like the way metal is made stronger is by like breaking it. And there's a process to that. And I think it's the same for us. Like we learn the best, we grow the most through hard situations and through struggle and pain. And it forces us to take action and to change. And probably not every time, but many times that gets to a better place and we're better people for it. And we learn and we remember that the next time we're in a certain situation or we have a struggle or trial, we're like, I've been through this. I can handle it. Now it goes from this big of a problem. The next time it's this. You do it again, it goes to this. Those problems become smaller and smaller, and you're able to just like handle it. So, no, it's a principle of the world. I think it's a principle from God that like we need opposition in everything. Without the bad, we can't know the good. Right? That's like, I think how we're created. And I think that's how the world is. And I've seen it myself. And that's where experience comes from. That's why you're asked to get experience because that experience helps you grow. So, yeah, that's what it is for me. The struggle, like finding joy in the struggle, right? Finding joy in the pain of it because you just know what's on the other side.
Powerful stuff. Well, as always, Luke, it is a delight to speak with you, to catch up, and to hear your advice and insight. And I appreciate your willingness to be on the Why Not podcast and to share your experiences with us. I'm going to ask our concluding question for the day, which is, what does happiness mean to you?
Happiness means to me, it's peace, a peace of mind, comfort, freedom. For sure. Happiness is good relationships. Feel that with like my kids, my family, with others. Happiness is being able to wake up in the middle of the night and fall back asleep because you're taking care of life, which I can't always do. Some nights I'm like, oh, I'm wrestling with something, right? But I gotta pursue that. So it's probably a mix of all those things.
Your business that you mentioned, you have a business. Where can they go to find that and learn more about that?
Come follow me, FHE.com. That's my business. We do religious study materials for families around the curriculum of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Or on LinkedIn, you can find me, Luke Alley. It's probably the best way to reach me. Happy to be on here, Noah. Great chatting, catching up. You're doing awesome things, man. Keep it up.